Before we get started today, Link has a trigger warning.
If you have a deeply rooted fear of not flying but crashing in a plane, you should probably skip to like the 20-minute mark in this podcast.
Well, we don't know how long we're gonna be. If you're still talking about it 20 minutes, you just threw them right into.
Oh gosh.
Welcome to Ear Biscuits, I'm Rhett.
And I'm Link. This week at the Round Table of Dim Lighting, we are asking the question, has touring changed us?
Has it?
Has it?
Has it changed us? How has it changed us?
Changed us? Maybe that's an odd question. Maybe that's it's gonna lead to a lot of self-reflection. And I think also, I don't know, from time to time we like to verbally process our creative process. And because spoiler alert, it has in a lot of ways.
Yeah, so we'll be talking about how we're seeing touring in the future, how we're thinking about our music, how the way that we interact with music as individuals influences the music that we give to you. All stuff about that. It's gonna be awesome. You're gonna love it. Yeah, I'm planting seeds in your brain and telling you how much you're gonna like it.
That's good, that's good. A lot of this has to do with making the decision to do the concert that we did at the North Carolina State Fair, which was a bona fide concert. It ended up being 2 hours. We can get into all that.
Bona fide.
But I've been saving, I haven't had an opportunity to tell you my near-death experience, which was flying to this show.
And can I just say that, you know, if you've been listening to Ear Biscuits for a while, you know that a lot of times we have these stories that we hold back from each other and then we tell each other for the first time in your presence on Ear Biscuits. And this one, probably more than any one you've ever held back, has been the most frustrating to me because the little bits that I've heard are that you had, this was an intense, death-defying experience that may have changed you.
How has my flight to Raleigh changed me?
And you've kept it from me.
Because it has.
For weeks, so that you could wait to tell it on an Ear Biscuit. So hopefully all the steam hasn't been let out because.
Yeah, well, I don't want to build up the story too much, but I do want to share it because, I mean, it had me shook. Once again, I'm shook. Everywhere I go, something happens and I'm shook. Shake it, shake it.
Is that
shake
a
your money
song
maker.
lyric?
It's just parlance of our times, you know?
I don't think of our times, maybe of a time gone by.
Shook?
Yeah, I mean, the way that you used it, I think you made it sound like it was from the 50s.
Well, here's the thing. So you flew home a day or two before me because it was around your birthday, and then I was trying to minimize my time away from my family. Your family was going with you, so. I flew in days later, so you were not on this plane. And I mean, it just so happened that the hurricane that was coming across the Florida Panhandle was predicted to cross over the Raleigh-Durham area where the airport, the Raleigh-Durham
International Airport.
The RDU. What does the U in RDU stand for? Raleigh-Durham International?
No, I think it's Raleigh-Durham.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
it's the DU in Durham.
You don't just go RD because that sounds like Hardee's.
But why is it not RDI? Raleigh-Durham International?
No, it sounds too stiff.
Anyway.
Raleigh-Durham.
You start to get a little shook, pre-shook. I got a little pre-shook because I'm like, am I gonna make it to the show? I mean, we're supposed to be flying into North Carolina at the same time the hurricane is flying across North Carolina. Matter of fact, there's a hockey team there called the Hurricanes.
Yep.
They've been very successful.
And I was thinking at the time, I was nervous because we were playing this show and you were coming in the day before, and then there was the chance that you might not be able to make it because of the coincidence of the hurricane. And there was like contingency plans potentially going to other cities. And
right,
I was contemplating how I would do the show by myself because I did not want to disappoint the Dorton Arena goers.
Right.
You know, all the Mythical Beasts who showed up. But then I was like, We could talk later what that would have been like. Let's just say I'm glad I didn't have to do it.
So we're flying in. I mean, it's like a 5-hour flight, and then in the last, I don't know, hour and a half, the pilot starts giving warnings like, we're probably going to experience some rough air, with the storm coming across the state.
Yeah. But he sounded very calm about it.
Yeah,
right?
he sounded very calm. But he said, you know what? I think we've been. It looks like we're going to be able to land, and
we've been cleared for landing.
Well, it wasn't like we're about to land. It's like it looks like we'll be able to land when that time comes, like 20 minutes from now, whatever, 30 minutes.
Don't worry now. Worry then.
When we start making our descent. But it seems like we'll be able to do it. But it was kind of like that. It was like, it seems like we'll be able to.
I don't want to make any empty promises.
Right.
Just in case you all die.
It was a little disconcerting, and I'm sitting alone. There's no one in the seat beside me.
That's convenient. Oh, you
I
wanted someone to hold?
I thought that was good until I didn't have anybody to grab. So we do start making the descent. Well, as we start coming into Raleigh-Durham, it's like, it goes from being clear. You see all these clouds, and I'm like, well, dadgum, that's the hurricane down there.
You saw it from above?
Well, there's clouds.
Moving clouds. It's gotta be
moving clouds. I mean, I've seen a radar of a hurricane, but you don't really see the swirl when you're in a plane. Is what I'm telling you.
Okay.
I learned that.
Can't see the swirl when you're in a plane.
And we start the descent, and there starts to be some shaking. I was shook.
Okay.
Quite literally.
And how did this initial shaking compare to
normal
turbulence?
Maybe a little bit more aggressive, but I never get worried.
Yeah.
I never get anxious because I have this magical ability. Like if there's nothing I can do, I just check out, and I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
What I don't have any control.
I'm exactly the same way. I'm super worried about getting to the airport on time.
Right.
But as soon as I get through security,
there's
it's just
nothing
like,
I
you know
can
what? This plane could turn upside down, and I'm not in control.
So they make an announcement where we're gonna be hitting some rough air.
Okay.
You need to buckle up, stay in your seat, and they start the descent. And then
secure your peanuts.
We go into the clouds, and it starts getting shaky. And about that moment, a woman comes walking from the back up to the front.
She wants to consult with the pilot?
And then a flight attendant, stewardess I was gonna call him, but I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah, you shouldn't do that.
Who was buckling herself up, stands up and says, no ma'am, you have to go back to your seat. And the woman goes, I have been holding it a long time. I have to get in there. And she goes past the flight attendant. Flight attendant kind of like exasperated, shakes her head.
Well, you gotta choose your
sits down and
your
buckles
battles,
up.
you know?
I'm like, all right, girl. And then
peeing on yourself or having your neck broke in the bathroom.
And then
which one's worse?
We start going into the clouds, and it really starts shaking. It was disconcerting. And then we come out of the clouds, and we are in a sandwich between clouds. We were in between two layers of clouds. It was very bizarre.
You see the swirl then?
Still didn't see the swirl, but then we start going through the second layer of clouds, and not only are we getting, is it bumps, but all of a sudden we're experiencing swaying.
Okay,
like,
that's new. That's new.
I've never experienced this on a plane.
Yeah. So a little bit of this.
A
Not
lot,
this.
A lot of shifting.
This?
So if you,
turning on an axis that is going from your head to your butthole.
If you put your hand, if you put your hands flat. And
for you engineers out there who need the axis.
If you ever seen somebody do the twist, that's what the plane was doing. The plane was wagging its butt.
That feels like a problem to me.
I have never felt anything like it. And it was just, it made the plane, as huge as it was, feel small. Like all of a sudden.
Was any part of it enjoyable?
Not at that point, man. I mean, it was nasty.
But you still weren't worried about your life.
I started to be because
a
toddler.
Your wife was. Let me just say. So your wife texts me while you're in the air. I'm currently on the I'm on the ground in North Carolina. I'm in Fuquay-Varina.
This is one of her worst fears for herself. Yeah.
No, actually, I was in Raleigh because I was eating.
Yeah.
I went to my birthday dinner that I shared.
You were underneath the hurricane
with my 16-year-old nephew who shares my name, Isaiah Rhett. We call him. Well, we call him Isaiah, but
what does he get it on the weekends or something?
No, but we shared a birthday dinner together. I rode in a limo with a bunch of teens. It's awesome. Smelled incredible, and
It wasn't the birthday celebration of Yacht Rock from last year.
No. Your
41's
a lot different.
It's like a flat tire.
Your wife texts me and says something about, I'm worried about Link being able to land. First of all, your wife texts me when she's worried, just so you, FYI. And I'm like.
Well, you're a friend. She can text male friends. I'm cool with that.
I'm like, you know what? You don't have anything to worry about. I'm currently on the ground in Raleigh. It just feels like it's raining a little bit. It's not even windy. It's not gonna be a problem.
Well, apparently,
that's what I said.
Apparently that's why they gave him the go ahead to land. But I mean, a toddler a few rows back starts screaming, "What's happening? What's happening?" And I mean, again,
a toddler?
Yeah, a toddler.
Okay, like a 2-year-old?
Like a kid who can barely speak is saying what's happening.
That's the best kind.
Again and again and again. And it took everything in my being to not turn around and say, "Shut up, we're crashing. Just shut up about it." Everybody else is just kind of like, just getting quiet. What's happening? Now, the week before, I had decided to watch with the family to introduce them to the amazing television show that is Lost. Starting from the pilot episode, which I forgot that the entire pilot episode, matter of fact, the whole first season is just a reliving of the most cataclysmic plane crash you could ever imagine.
A plane literally splitting in two because of turbulence.
And I watched this the week before, so I started to feel nauseous.
Did you start looking around and think, am I gonna be the leader? Am I gonna be Jack Shepard or John Locke?
Well,
or Sawyer.
I'll tell you exactly what I thought.
I'm gonna be Sawyer if I
crash. The plane started to beep in weird ways. Like alarms started to go off in the plane.
That's awesome.
Wheelp, wheelp, wheelp.
Okay.
Like
never heard that before.
Yeah, and we're still doing this like shimmy shake, like shake
alarms.
Yes.
What is the kid saying now?
What's happening? What's happening?
Still saying that. Okay.
I didn't have anybody to talk to. I was literally feeling nauseous. Like I was like, all right, I'm gonna grab this. Where am I gonna vomit? My shoe? No, that sack.
Yeah, you got a sack.
And I thought to myself, Link, make up your mind right now. You're gonna survive no matter what happens. I literally had this conversation with myself.
That's an interesting intent.
And it was weird because again, it's like I know I have no control and I'm like, I haven't been watching those safety videos, man.
All you gotta do is jump right before it hits the ground.
Yeah, like an elevator.
You'll survive.
Right, a falling elevator.
Yeah, physics, man.
But literally I thought to myself, okay, no matter what happens, just grit your teeth and survive no matter what. Like if you're gonna crash or whatever, it's just have an attitude of survival. I've never had that conversation with myself, like just gearing up for it. And then there was more swaying and a huge drop, like free fall, bam!
Oh no!
And we're in that second layer of clouds.
That's when the plane splits usually.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, please just let me see the ground. But please just get to the ground. We can do this. And then all of a sudden, we clear the bottom bun of the hamburger of clouds. And I see the ground. And that ground is a lot closer than I thought it was gonna be.
Oh yeah.
By that point.
And that's not good. That's what you don't want.
And then I'm like,
you need altitude.
And of course I know the geography. So I know this is Jordan Lake and we're approaching in like plane speed. We're rapidly approaching landing, which is at least good that I feel this close to the ground. I know we're gonna.
You've got a landmark for your death spot.
No, we're really close to the landing strip.
Okay.
But then even though we were out of the clouds, we were still shimmying.
Oh gosh.
I mean, again, it wasn't like once or twice. It was unlike anything I've ever felt in a plane. It would be like sidewinding on ice in a car.
Anyone throwing up at this point?
Everybody was quiet except for that. Even the toddler shut up.
Yeah, good.
Once we hit that big drop.
That's what it took.
And so we were like going up and down and shimmying. I'm looking at the ground and I think I'm gonna vomit and die and do whatever it takes to survive. And I'm convinced that the plane felt so small and it was moving in such an unnatural way that I could totally believe that at any point it could just be slapped on the surface of the earth, just like whoosh. You know, that drop we had a few minutes back, if that drop happened right now, we would slam into the earth. We should have put a trigger warning on the front of this video. If you're like really, okay, I'll do it right now. We'll slap this at the top. We've done it before, we'll do it again. If you have a deeply rooted fear of flying, well, not really.
Say, before we get started today.
Yeah, do that.
Before we get started today, Link has a trigger warning.
If you have a deeply rooted fear of not flying, but crashing in a plane, you should probably skip to like the 20-minute mark in this podcast.
Well, we don't know how long we're gonna be. If you're still talking about it 20 minutes, you just threw them right into
oh gosh.
the nexus of this conversation.
I think that's the most dramatic part that we just talked about. So
okay.
We didn't get slapped into the surface of the earth. At that point, I see the runway and I'm like, whatever you do, don't land. I'm like sending a message to the pilot through my passions. Just I don't know what that means, but I was scared.
Your passions?
I was so passionately hoping that he would not land because it seemed impossible. And then we're over the runway and we're about to land.
No.
Yes.
Like how far off the ground?
I don't know. Definitely like hundreds of feet.
Okay.
300 feet.
All right.
And thank goodness he pulled up. He pulls up and he doesn't try to land. And like people started clapping. A few people said, woo! And then I heard somebody say, don't clap yet!
Yeah, was it the toddler?
No, it wasn't the toddler.
His voice got lower.
And he was right.
He went all the way through puberty in that.
He was right, because then we had
5 minutes.
we had to traverse through both buns of that Hurricane's hamburger.
You gotta go back up to the hamburger.
And it was a lot of the same stuff, but he seemed to like power through a lot quicker. And then all of a sudden we're going to Charlotte. We're gonna land in Charlotte because they're running out of gas. Yeah, and the sun came out and it was like utopia.
Well, the sun didn't come out, you came to the sun.
And then we went to Charlotte and we landed. I got on the ground and ate some fries from Wendy's, tried to settle my stomach.
Just fries?
Yeah. Jenna wasn't sitting with me, but she flew with me. So she was many seats back. And then when we got off the plane for a second, they said, we're gonna take off and go back to RDU, it's cleared up, but before we do, you can get off for a second. I got some fries and she was gone, and then she comes back a few minutes later, she was like, I just had to tell you, I just had to get a shot of whiskey. It's like, it was traumatic. She seemed a lot more at rest at that moment, and me after my fries. And then we flew back to RDU. I mean, it was like 2 hours later, and it had blown over, you know?
Yeah, it always blows over, man. That's the life lesson. You know what?
Oh, but I forgot.
It'll blow over.
As we started the ascent, and they said, "Don't clap yet," and we're like going back through this turbulence. Then the sun comes out.
Then you clap.
No.
Oh.
Then that woman came out of the bathroom.
No.
I swear.
No way. Not a chance.
I'm so sorry, I almost forgot. That's the best part.
Cannot be true.
And I looked at her in disbelief, and she strutted down that aisle like she was the one who was piloting the plane.
Hold on.
She had saved the day.
You're not making this
cool
up.
As a cucumber.
She was in the commode.
She was on the
whole
commode
time.
Through everything I talked about.
You don't know if she was on the commode.
She
may have been doing like some sort of like 4-point contact stance.
Right, she's like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible, whichever one that one was, where he's like dangling from the spider rope. I don't know if there's a seat belt on a airplane commode.
There's not. I've looked for it.
But she walked out with her head held. She's like, sticking her chest out like a proud rooster. I don't know why.
So she didn't want to seem embarrassed.
She didn't want to seem embarrassed.
Hey, you know
she
what?
wasn't bleeding.
Look confident when you screwed up.
Right.
I always say that.
Can you believe that though?
Because now you think maybe she is responsible for all of us living.
Oh my gosh. I made it, guys, but
thanks for sharing that.
I've flown a couple of times since then, and I gotta be honest, a little bit of turbulence brings it all back. Like I started to feel nauseous when we hit just a couple of bumps before, and I have a lot more empathy for Christy, who has had made a lot of progress on her fears. So I didn't try to go into the details with her.
So you haven't told her the story?
Well, I told her, right when we landed, I called her in Charlotte and I was like, we made it. It was quite a ride. I don't think I need to tell you about it.
Quite a ride. Okay.
But I need to tell you about it, so thanks for listening.
I'm glad you lived.
Hopefully you listening is therapy for me, so thank you.
I'm glad you lived and made it to the concert so I didn't have to play the show by myself. That's the main reason. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about touring, but first we are going to let you know that this coming Friday's Black Friday.
That's because Thursday's Thanksgiving.
You know what's happening on Black Friday? A big old sale at mythical.store, 20 to 40% off, and it's through Black Friday through Cyber Monday, right? Is that correct? 20 to 40% off everything at mythical.store.
Whoa. Can we do that?
Yeah, I don't know. I was told that that's what's happening. I don't know if it's smart. It could be stupid, but whether it's stupid or smart, you should take advantage of it because this is the time to stock up on everything at mythical.store. There's
Rep us, y'all.
There's clothes, there's, what else do we have, Feldman?
There's clothes, there's mugs. Good luck with that.
We got mugs. We still got keychains?
Feel like you're at the round table of dim lighting with your good luck
bracelets,
for that, Mud. I say good luck for that,
hats.
Mud. Whatever.
We got beanies right now? We don't have beanies yet. Soon. Maybe. And there's lots of stuff. Go check it out at mythical.store and equip yourself to be even more mythical than you already are.
Music is magic, man. Music is a big part of our lives, and it's also a big part of our brand. I mean, of Rhett and Link, of us being, we wouldn't be where we are today without music as an aspect of what we started to do on YouTube.
Well, we really wouldn't have started doing, the core of our comedy when we were coming up was musical comedy.
And we really like making videos, but at first those things really weren't coming together. Like we would write funny songs or whatever, but we'd make videos for school projects. But it did, that's when those things came together, that's what gained us traction on YouTube.
Right, but I guess what I'm saying is like the stuff that, I know that the first thing that sort of got views on YouTube was the Pimp My Stroller, which was a parody video, but the stuff that got featured, like the videos that got featured, the videos that went viral were those songs that we had written with never an intention to make into a music video. The Unibrow song. Out of the blue, my eyebrows grew. The Facebook song. Facebook. Are probably two of the best examples. Songs that we wrote with a live audience in mind.
The unicorn rap is what we call one of them.
What do you think about that link? MC's extraordinary.
Actually, we didn't call it that until we decided to make it into a video, and we just added unicorns.
And that actually,
we thought that would get the clicks.
That actually is a little different because that was only ever intended to be a video because it was like for like an intro or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
But like you think about the ones that actually, because nobody really watched that one either, but the ones that really got traction in those early days, there were songs that were written with a live audience in mind that then when YouTube came along, we created music videos for them, and that was sort of the beginning of what Rhett and Link comedy was. Mm-hmm. And in a way, we are returning to those roots. I think that's one of the things that is happening as a result of us touring.
Well, I sometimes I enjoy kind of connecting the dots in what it is we're doing now, and what brought us to this point. Hopefully, as a listener, you will enjoy kind of tracing some of that if you're interested in our creative process, or I don't know why you're interested in this, but I am, so I guess I'm gonna talk about it. But I mean, we decided, I guess the operable question that we're asking is, how has touring changed us? I mean, it's certainly altered and informed our career trajectory, even currently, and I'm actually very excited about where it's going. So I can unpack that a little bit. We decided to do the show at North Carolina State Fair. And just to do a concert, just because we were itching to do a show, we were willing to entertain their offer or their invitation to come, because we had toured the previous fall with our tour of Mythicality, which we were only willing to entertain the possibility of doing that because we had written a book, and it's like if you write a book, you're supposed to tour in some way, but we didn't want to do a book tour, so we did a stage tour, and then we had to like make a whole stage tour thing, and then, so this, even having a willingness to go on tour, which is something that people brought up for years for us. It's something that only writing a book pushed us over the edge to actually do it.
Well, we had always shied away from it because one of the things that made YouTube so attractive to us was the fact that we could create things and reach a large amount of people without ever leaving a studio and being able to go to work and then come home and be with our families. And so that's what YouTube afforded us. And
I do remember that we talked about this particular thing in a whole other podcast when we were at some point in the process of the tour of Mythicality. So It's not that we have to rehash that, but I will say that having gone through the experience of the tour of Mythicality, we're now like, hey, we find ourselves being invited to have more stage appearances, to like meet more fans and to travel more places. I mean, going to Australia was amazing. That was another Ear Biscuit where we talked about.
And we knew that even though the show was based on the book and kind of goes through some different aspects of the book, we knew, well, if we're gonna get an audience together and we're gonna perform for them, we know that we're gonna do some live music because in one sense, that's our bread and butter. That's something that we really enjoy doing and we think we do it well. But we did this exercise where for the tour of Mythicality, where we said, okay, well, we need to perform X number of songs, it's like 5 or 6 songs. We should at least write a new song
and they need
this.
And they need to tie into kind of the narrative.
Yeah, they need to be something that makes sense based on where we're at in the show.
Right.
But they also need to be the kind of songs that make sense to perform live. And the result of that was picking some songs that, and this is actually the case, a lot of people are like, how did you choose the songs you did for North Carolina State Fair? We'll get into that. But how we chose the songs for the tour is, what songs can we confidently perform live? They will sound good, and the jokes will work for a live audience. And as a result, we ended up going into places like going all the way back to a song that we wrote over 15 years ago, the Middle School Girlfriend song.
Mm-hmm.
Updated it, made it what we think is significantly funnier than it was originally, and performing it and then writing a new song. And then, anyway, it was a totally different process that really whet our appetite for then saying, let's do this more seriously, take the show to the State Fair.
But not take the show.
We decided do a special show.
We decided, I can't remember exactly what made us decide to say yes to that invitation, because that's something we normally just wouldn't say. Well, we can't.
We did it to put, I remember because after having done the tour, which was incredible in a lot of ways, we talked about it multiple times, but like being able to be in the room with Mythical Beasts is very special. It kind of,
we were open to.
It goes beyond what we've been able to experience, just digitally with people online.
And it was a hometown gig, so we were open to, well, maybe we should go, it'd be cool. It's like, we saw Merle there, it's like a lot of memories associated with that.
But the reason we committed to doing it is because we said, if we do this, if we commit to an all music show at the North Carolina State Fair.
But why did we even think an all music show? Because I know what you're about to say, but what the idea to just do a concert and not do another tour Mythicality stop?
Because we want to do something that is even further reaching and broader more broadly appealing. That
And
was my reason.
And we didn't want to, we're not gonna keep touring with the tour mythicality anymore.
Yeah, do something that is what we feel is the best parts of the show, and we've got more songs where those came from, and we can write some new ones.
And it's more expected. I think people, I mean, at least a segment of the fans, they were expecting, okay, if I'm gonna come to a show, if you're gonna perform songs, isn't that a concert? Well, it wasn't.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people have always thought that if you come, a lot of people who've become Mythical Beasts in recent years think that when we say, when you hear Rhett and Link live, they think they're going to see like Good Mythical Morning live. They think that they're going to see like us on stage, eating weird stuff, getting people on stage and but that's because those people got into the game a little bit late and don't realize that. Well, the thing that we're passionate about, the thing that we love to do, and we think the thing that is the most entertaining thing that we can do in a theater or in a Dorton arena is music.
And I think the other thing, and then here's the thing we found. I'll skip to after the show. Once we started meeting fans after the show, a lot of people had Tour Mythicality shirts on. They had been to that show, and then they had been to this concert. So we would always ask them, which one did you prefer? And if they had a preference, where I'd say maybe 60% of the people we asked did have a preference. The remaining ones said, I loved both of them. It's just like they're just, encouraging fans. But if they had an opinion, it was, I liked the concert better. I like what I just saw better. And I think that felt good because it aligned with our own experience, which was, man, it was easier to do. And it was it was in that wheelhouse of we're performing songs.
Easier to do, I find that an interesting, you think that was easier to do? It wasn't easier for me.
It was definitely easier for me. So I guess for me it was like, there was no pressure beforehand for me. I can understand why there's more pressure on you, and like having to carry the rhythm on your guitar, to play the guitar for all these songs that, and having to relearn them,
or transpose some of them to guitar that never weren't written for guitar to begin with. I have a horrible memory when we had monologues for the Tour Mythicality. And that's really hard for me. But for some reason in my brain, like lyrics and melodies and all that's very easy for me. Of course, I'm also not playing a guitar and singing and have to relearn that, but like, I don't forget lyrics that much. I think ultimately,
I had it easy.
I would say ultimately, a music show is way easier once I actually lock in what I'm doing, but I had not, in fact, again, it goes back to the reason we did it. We did it so we would have to force ourselves to learn how to turn these songs into acoustic songs that we could perform, be able to sing for almost 2 hours. And so I had a lot of questions about whether or not I was going to get through that and not forget things and be able to play the guitar parts and all that. I screwed up a number of times. Most people probably didn't notice. I definitely did, but so I think ultimately it will be easier.
For as long as it's been since we've played those songs, or having never played many of those, maybe half of the songs we had never played live. And then a third of them had never been played on a guitar ever. I'll give it to you, man, you did a great job.
Well, it was all just a track. I was just pantomiming the guitar the whole time.
Oh.
You didn't know that? It's just a track. I'm just really good at looking like I'm playing exactly what you're hearing.
That's not a bad idea.
All the screw ups are built in. It's a big show. The whole thing's a facade.
If you let me in on those secrets, then I won't spoil them for everybody else.
Okay.
So I was encouraged that people were like, I love this is what I want. And plus, the banter in between songs is very much like the unscripted moments of Good Mythical Morning. So it is kind of like you're getting a Good Mythical Morning experience as opposed to like this theatrical, dramatic, scripted, sculpted experience that was the book on stage kind of thing. But you bring up the point that I want to camp out on, which is, you said, you knew if we made a decision to do this concert, we knew in the most general sense, it would lead to something. like every time we do something new, it stretches us, it challenges us, it aligns us. You know, it's like we gotta hunker down and figure it out, right? And it's a new creative endeavor, and something will come of it. And I think that's what's so exciting is having done that once and having not, you know, when it was over, it's like, yeah, we can do this more, you know?
And we are.
We should go to London and do this.
Do it at VidCon London.
And we're gonna do it
And then we're
more.
gonna go from there.
But it's, you know, it's exciting when even if it didn't go well, it would lead to something. Everything you do leads to some other decision that you have to make creatively. And I was very encouraged that like, yeah, that having done it's like, yeah, we can do more of it. And then the fan feedback was, yes, please do more of that.
Yeah.
So there was also an alignment there.
And it also forced us to write some new songs, which is something we haven't done. I mean, first of all,
well, it's such a big part of who we were, and then we stopped doing it.
Well, I don't want to, we haven't stopped writing songs because,
well, that's true.
you know, we did an album with each season of Buddy System.
And I even tend to forget that because I feel like it's kind of,
And that was a lot of songwriting.
it's Buddy System is hidden over there. Like I act like Buddy System doesn't exist.
We poured so much of ourselves into Buddy System. I know we talk about it every time, and then so many of you haven't seen it, but
get YouTube Premium
we
if you want to see
we
it.
poured a lot of ourselves into it, including a lot of songwriting. But it's a little bit of a, you know, it's a little bit of a shame in that so few Mythical Beasts have seen it. But I think, what we have gotten away from is the songwriting process that we employ for the live performances. And to me,
Ever since YouTube started taking off.
yeah, because something happened. You know, obviously those first couple of songs were written with a live audience in mind. So if you were just to listen to this song, just listen to the lyrics, you would laugh. And then once we had the visual component added, we started writing songs knowing that they were primarily going to be received as a music video. And so you would we would literally be sitting there writing lyrics to a song, and we would say, okay, well, this will be the lyric and this will be the thing that we're showing.
Right.
And so it was this incredibly visual experience where because we thought
we weren't writing a song, we were writing a music video.
We wrote things with a music video in mind from the beginning, and that's a drastically different process. And that's also, frankly, one of the reasons that some of the songs you may have expected us to play in our live show, we didn't play, and then others, for some people, you know, because one of the things we did in the show is we had an acoustic set. We started with an acoustic set, including some old songs that people recognize and some new stuff that we had written. Then we introduced some very special guests who was Rabbit Lightning, and we don't know if we did that kind of as a special thing for the North Carolina State Fair. We don't know if we're gonna keep doing that, but it really worked for that crowd. And then we brought out the songs that we felt obligated to play. I mean, I'll give you my perspective. I know your perspective was a little bit different, and I think that the fans reminded me once we talked to them, like how I should actually think about it. But we knew that we had to do Epic Rap Battle, Nerd versus Geek.
I troll brony sites, you look like an actual troll. I'm fluent in C++, see you just suck.
Epic Rap Battle of Manliness.
I'm too much man for a manicure. I don't even have cuticles. For the sake of convenience, I keep a urinal in my cubicle.
I'm on Vacation.
But it's still okay, 'cause I'm on vacation. I think he misspelled the word vacation.
Belly Button.
It's my belly button, my belly button.
And we had it So Dang Dark.
I'm not afraid of the dark, I'm afraid of what's in the dark.
That wasn't necessarily a must play, but those songs that have the most views of anything that we've ever done, you know, the songs that if you don't know us from anything else, you might know us from those music videos.
They have the most views except for, you didn't mention OCD.
I gotta make things right.
OCD
doesn't apply
which
to
is
this.
we took a different strategy on OCD. We did play it, but we'll talk about that in a second. And we were very self-conscious. First of all, we knew that we were gonna try to do a show that didn't cost us a lot of money, so that meant we weren't gonna have a big screen. The Tour Mythicality shows have a screen behind us that's an integral part of the show. But that's a very expensive thing, and it raises the cost of us actually doing the show. And we were like,
especially for a one-off show.
if there's a way to do this show without the visuals, then we should try that. And so we were like, okay, well, that's just gonna be us up there rapping. And if you listen to a song like I'm on Vacation, especially I'm on Vacation, you're like, oh, this is so much about the visuals. So many jokes are referencing what's happening on camera. If we don't have a screen, can we still do this?
Does it make
Will
sense?
it make sense? And also there was a
And my point is, well, how many people are there who've never heard of the song?
right. You're right. And I'm always thinking
or seen
about
the music video.
I'm always thinking about the person who is walking in for the first time, probably to a fault. I'm always thinking about the audience who hasn't heard us
I
yet.
thought this was the tractor pull.
Right. And so
But I'm gonna sit down because they're singing about vacation.
and we also felt pretty self-conscious about getting up there and rapping. And so we did I don't want to give away everything that we did because we'll probably do it again when we tour, but we have a way of couching the fact that we're performing
Yeah.
these
We
songs
addressed it.
that are visually motivated.
A couple of notes. I'll say in VidCon London for that show, there will be a screen, I believe. So it's not that whenever, don't assume that, if you really want a screen, I'm not gonna say there won't be screens for when we come to your town or whatever the case may be, or for VidCon London. But the other funny story, when we left stage, then we do this quick change. Well, we had this creative way to come out as Rabbit Lightning to kind of make that transition, but my mom told me later that, of course, I'm Lon Lightning. Hi, I'm Lon Lightning. I come back out there and I'm talking, and Lewis, my mom's husband, technically my stepdad, but I don't call him that because he married her after I was married and had a child. He's just my mom's, he's just Lewis, okay? Don't worry about it. I love him. I love Lewis. And that's what I call him, okay? He's not my stepdad.
You could call him Daddy, probably think it's cool.
Just call him Daddy, Papa. That would be Granddad. Okay, so anyway, my kids call him Papa. So it's cool. He leans over to Mom. He's like, he's good. It's like, my mom's like, what? He's like, it's cool that they let him come out there and do it. Cause we said, we got some friends who were coming out here. We're gonna give them some time. They're trying to make it in the business. He didn't know it was me. That's why he's not my stepdad.
Well, you should take that as a compliment.
Yeah,
you're a very convincing redneck.
My mom spent the next 5 minutes trying to convince, that's Link. Well, it doesn't sound like him. It's an act, he's playing a character. Well, it's good. He got me, good. And he has that catchphrase, good. Yeah, he does, my kids love that.
Start saying it, man.
Good. That's what he says. Yeah. Do your push-ups. You been doing your push-ups?
Yeah, Papa.
Good.
Um,
I didn't know that was you.
now,
It's good.
Now, one of the things that that I did after, so anyway, writing some songs that didn't have a visual in mind from the beginning. I feel like I'm always thinking about that, like the chance that we get to perform for an audience who isn't completely on our side from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
So when we tour and we sell tickets to a show, we know that the vast majority of people there are gonna be pulling for us, they're gonna be fans, they're gonna know the lyrics to the songs, and that's just an incredibly fun love fest, as Garth Brooks would say in the video that we just watched before this. And it's just a lot of fun, but there's a different dynamic when, let's say we're going to, and we're not doing this yet, going to like a comedy festival, and it's just a bunch of people who came to be entertained, and you have to win them over like a traditional comedian.
Again,
I'm always thinking about that crowd,
Yeah.
especially when I'm writing something new.
Yeah.
You know?
That's great. Because, it's not like you're going to lose people who are just going to love us, by making something that is the funniest thing we can make.
And I think that's why I'm always been a little self-conscious about getting up there and doing the raps, because it's like, no, you don't understand. This has like over 30 million views on the internet. Like people really care about this.
Right.
It's not just a couple of dads up here rapping, you know? So
Right.
and that's a personal problem, because a lot of fans said that was their favorite part of the show. But one of the things that I did after that State Fair show, I actually don't even remember the moment that I made this decision, but it was when we decided we were gonna do VidCon London, and I was like, okay, here we go, we're gonna do some more, which means we've got a few months to write some more songs. Pressure's on to write some more original songs.
Yeah.
And now I have played the piano in ignorance for years, meaning that I can sit down at a piano and I can do some things that may fool a layperson into thinking that I know how to play the piano. I don't actually know how to play the piano. But if you play in the key of C and you stay in the white keys, and you can make people think that you can play the piano, right? And I have written some of the instrumentals for our songs have been written on piano, but it's very much like I'm not playing, I'm just kind of piecing things together because I know what the notes are.
Yeah.
But I was like, what would it do for us if we incorporated a piano into our act? Could I learn how to play the piano in time for us to actually write some songs on piano and perform them at VidCon London?
Or my response was, what if we incorporate a guy dressed like a piano in our act?
Yeah, we talked about that for about 15 minutes.
No, we didn't. So yeah, so this is just you in your own little space thinking about this. Well, yeah, I mean, your space.
First of all, we have a piano at the house, right? We have like
yeah, you do.
an upright piano. So what I did is
I also have one of
I
those.
sat down at the piano, as I do sometimes just to kind of mess around, and
Twinkle the Ivories.
and I've written
Tinkle.
a couple of songs like that.
Swirl
The Buddy System Season 2 Family Man
Tickle.
family song.
I'm a family man.
Family Man song, that was written on the piano, but again, if you listen to it, it's super, very simple rhythm. I sat down to play the piano and I play for like 30 seconds and then Locke is like, Dad, could you not do that right now? Because this, it goes throughout the whole house.
Yeah.
And at that moment, because I was also watching a YouTube video about how to play so that you can accompany yourself singing. Because that was something I've never done, because I never thought that I needed to perform it live. I was just like, I'm just kind of chicken peck this piano enough to then translate it to guitar or put it in Logic on MIDI or something like that.
Right.
But I don't have to actually play it and sing it at the same time. But I was like, well, I'd like to learn how to play and sing at the same time. It can't be that hard if I can already do it with guitar. So of course you go on YouTube and there's like, I learned some mind-blowing things that I had my hands backwards, not like this, not like playing like this, but I was playing the bass note, I was doing it wrong anyway.
No, I wanna know how you're doing it wrong, because this is interesting.
Well, so what I was doing is, and I think this is a way that you can play the piano is, so your left hand obviously is playing lower notes and your right hand is playing higher notes, to put it very simply. And
if you're sitting in a traditional fashion.
Yeah, if you're sitting backwards, reverse it. Also, turn around so you can see the piano.
Was that the start of the tutorial?
Yeah.
Hey, we can make a funny piano tutorial.
Yeah,
if you
there
ever
you
learn
go.
how to play the piano,
Yeah.
we'll make YouTube tutorials.
I can't yet. I've got a couple of months to figure it out. So what I had been doing when I sat down to write something is I would play a chord. I kind of figured out pretty quickly that, if you just separate in the white keys, if you do every other key and you do 3 of them together, you're playing a chord.
Yeah, I knew that.
Right, and then I would play some kind of melody with my right hand, which that is a way that you can play piano if you are playing a song that isn't to be sung, because you're playing the melody in the upper keys.
You're like playing the elevator version of Coldplay.
Right, but if you wanna play so that you can accompany yourself, And again, if you know anything about piano, you're like, this idiot doesn't know what he's talking about. But I am giving you my layman's understanding of this, which come to VidCon London, I'm gonna be playing the piano and singing, so yeah, take that.
We're also gonna charge you for this part as a tutorial. Like this is a paid tutorial from someone who has not yet learned how to play the piano.
But
It's like, that's so you, by the way. Like, I admire this about you. Like, you could become convinced to like make a tutorial as you're learning. So it's just like, all right, day 2 of me learning to play the piano, this is what you do.
Yeah, man. Well, okay, so what I learned, and that was a revelation to me, is that if you wanna play in a way that you can accompany yourself while you're singing, you're playing the bass line with your left hand, and you're playing chords, basically rhythm, in chords with your right hand.
And then you're playing a melody with your vocal
And you're
cords.
singing the melody. And a lot of songs, some of the most popular songs ever written on piano, like Let It Be by the Beatles, is like when you break down the piano, it's like this is incredibly simple. Like it doesn't have to be complex. You don't have to be Jim Brickman. There's a shout out. He's like a professional pianist.
Is that right?
Look him up. I used to have one of his albums.
What? Okay.
Yeah. I think
Please keep going. Let's forget that shout
I
out.
think I got it through one of those
Jim Brickman on Instagram.
BMG music things. Anyway, so this was a revelation to me, and by the time I finished this YouTube video,
You were in tears.
I felt like I was on my piano, and and I had gone back to the piano, and then the kids have been like, Dad, you've got to stop playing. At that point, I went on Amazon, and I said, you know what? I feel inspired. I want to write some music on the piano, but I've got to be able to do it whenever I want. I need a keyboard because I need to be able to put my headphones on and play to my heart's content.
Guitar? Did you mean to
Keyboard.
say guitar?
So I bought a keyboard, a Casio. I didn't want to get crazy, you know what I'm saying? I didn't want to get too expensive.
Okay. Does it have the buttons for the beats? Boom, boom.
It does, but
Bossa Nova?
I've yet to activate those.
Oh, you haven't even activated.
I don't play the beats.
I owned a keyboard at my Nana's house.
I'll play the beats for you.
Once
so you
I
can
stopped
rap.
playing with the Castle Grayskull, I wanted a keyboard, and I put the stickers for the notes on the keys. Have you done that to
I
your
don't
keyboard?
do the stickers. The stickers are in my mind.
Really?
Here's something though. This is something that has been super exciting. Now, I don't want to build it up because
We may get busy.
the song, I'm only gonna promise that there will be one song on keyboard.
Oh gosh, that's gonna be hard to justify bringing
Bringing
a keyboard.
Okay, there's gonna be 2 songs on keyboard.
Can I play too?
Yeah, you can hit one, you can like hit the high notes.
I think this is a bit. There's gonna be a bit about the keyboard.
Yeah, we gotta justify bringing it, you're completely right.
What about drum machine?
We can get into that. But
I'm buying a drum machine.
one of the things that I have figured out is, okay, so my guitar playing is pretty limited, right? I can play a very reliable rhythm. I can play bar chords up and down the neck. You know, I can play all the standard chords. I play a few chords that are 7s or diminished or whatever. And I do all this mostly by ear, so I don't really know. When I'm playing like a weird chord, I have to like go to an app on my phone to know what I'm playing. I never took music theory. I just kind of know what chords I'm hitting. But you pretty quickly, in my experience, if you're limited like me and you never had a guitar lesson, you pretty quickly just kind of get to the end of what you can do on a guitar in terms of writing a song. It's like, okay, I can basically play in any key in the standard rhythms or whatever, but I can only do a few sort of altered chords. It's mostly just majors and minors, straight stuff, maybe a 7th or something like that. But when you sit down at the piano and you just,
Does it spread for you?
you combine a few things and you're like, oh, well, sometimes I'm hitting the bass note of the chord that I'm playing. Sometimes I'm hitting a different chord from the bass note that I'm playing. And what the cool thing that has happened is you begin to hear like a genre, like an era of music coming out of the piano. So like I'm playing like I don't remember what the chords were, but like I actually mishit hitting a G and a G at the same time, and the chord was a little bit too high, and then I kind of like corrected it. But just going from that step up to the G, it sounded like an 80s like pop song. And all of a sudden you just start finding that the world of music that can be explored on the piano, it just suddenly hit me, and I was like, why did I discover this at 41?
Do you think that, because it makes me think, like we got a piano in our house and I invested in piano lessons for all 3 kids, and you know, we found a good piano instructor who I listen in on what she's telling the kids, and it's like an inspirational, it's like a college music appreciation course. She's amazing. Also teaching them guitar, and you know, it's again a credit to you. I think this is a difference between the two of us. I was making fun of like the confidence that you do a tutorial before you know how to do something. I was really making fun of the fact that like you'll leap in and say, I'm buying it, I'm doing what you do. For me, it's like, well, I never learned the piano, but I want to give my kids that. It's funny that that's been my my application, because I did have enough understanding. It's like, if you can learn piano and understand music in that way, it translates. I just felt like it translates so much more in terms of like, okay, then you can move to guitar or even drums or whatever, because of what you're describing that you're discovering as a middle-aged man. I am curious if our kids are, if they're connecting those dots, or if it's something that like is within you. Like all of our kids, and your kids too, they played for a while.
But it's funny
they've done pretty well.
You know, because my kids are very much like me and my wife in a lot of ways, but the things that I see in them, I'm like, okay, so both of them took guitar, Locke took guitar, Shepard took piano. They took it for a while, and then they kind of just lost interest, right?
Yeah.
But when Shepard and they both they still both want to play from time to time, but both of them, maybe Shepard a little bit more than Locke, took a very different approach, which is the same approach that I always took. Like, when I learned the guitar, I've got the books and like learned how to play like some Eagles songs or how to do like some, you know, Leonard Skinner riff or something like that. But the technicality of getting it exactly the way that the record sounded, I lost interest so quickly.
Yeah.
I would get like an idea of what they did and then very quickly turn it into something original.
Right.
I was much more interested in writing songs, and I've always been that way. And I see the thing, Shepard will sit down at the piano, and we want him to, he's supposed to play what's in the book, what the instructor has told him to play, but he's making something up.
And that's great. That really is great. I think for me it was—
You really need both in a perfect world, you know, the training and then the inspiration to create your own stuff, but.
Yeah, I you know, if we go back to the Wax Paper Dogs days, it was like neither one of us could play, and we were both lead singers in our garage band in high school, right? So it was, and then you were the one that made the decision, this double lead singer thing ain't gonna work. Where I think for me, it's like learning to play guitar or do anything, it's like if I feel like I can't invest enough to do it perfectly, like to invest deeply and it be a lifelong commitment, I would just rather not do it. It's just, that's a subconscious approach that I have that's like, well, I can't do this, but I can give it to my kids. You know, it's very interesting. It's just a totally different, it's a way that we're very different. Yeah, I just find it fascinating that without any particular point.
Well, and I think one of the reasons I started playing guitar in the Wax Paper Dogs wasn't just because it was a little cheesy to have two lead singers and we weren't in sync or anything like that. Was that, well, if I didn't start playing the guitar, we were just gonna play the songs that Benny wrote.
Right.
Or covers, right?
Right.
If we wanted to actually create, you had to get the instrument to enabled the creation.
Yeah, we needed fresh rip-offs of the Eagles.
And then that was when we started writing songs that were in no way, shape, or form good, but were sort of the building blocks of like learning how to play music together. Which, that's another thing that I want to talk about because it's something you said. So we were practicing for the concert at the State Fair, and one of the songs that was not written on guitar And actually, so we did, back when we did the Mythical show, we collaborated with Dan Avedon of Game Grumps and Ninja Sex Party, a good friend of ours.
Before Game Grumps didn't exist.
Game Grumps didn't exist.
He had just moved to LA. Stevie introduced us.
And we were like, when we signed up for the Mythical show, we were like, this is a lot. We have to do so much, and we got no money because we didn't ask for enough money to make it.
But we got to do music videos.
And so
because that's part of what we do.
And she was like, well, I know a guy who A, is a good musician, B, is very funny, who might be able to help you guys write all the music that you need to write for this. And so we were like, yeah, we've never done that. We've always written our own stuff, and there's like this sense of pride with like not getting any help. But then we were like, you know what? Let's see what happens if we collaborate. So the Have You Ever song. Basically the chords, and in large part the melody was written by Dan.
Actually,
and a lot of the lyrics.
I think specifically they were written by Ninja Brian, because
the music part.
I don't think Dan. I don't know for sure, but I don't think he plays anything. I think he's like me, and I think that Brian is like you. And he plays keys and plays all the multi-instrumentalist is
okay.
Ninja Brian from
their
band Ninja Sex Party.
Because we said we wanted to do something that was like Hall & Oates.
I don't.
Or did they just?
No,
is
no,
that what
no,
they just came
no.
back with? Because that's kind of their
here's what
sound at
happened.
the time.
They have such a 80s soft rock sound. I mean, look at they put out 2 cover albums and they like got Toto and stuff on it. It's amazing. So he just does that. They do that on instinct. So we determined we want a song called Have You Ever that's like, things that you can relate to that then increasingly goes to crazy things that just like it falls apart.
And we may have written some jokes that he could take and turn into lyrics, but
and then they came back with a demo for us. First time we had ever collaborated with somebody musically, it was over email. And we were like,
because we never met Ninja Brian.
Not at the time, no. And we were like, well, he lived in like England or something.
He was like studying in England at the time, yeah.
Or he was a professor. I don't know, lots of weird stories going around. You can't believe those guys. Anyway, the demo came back and it had this 80s vocal effect on it. We're like, damn, this sounds like Hall & Oates.
Yeah.
We didn't like the chorus, so we rewrote the melody of the chorus and worked with our producer Mark on it.
Okay, yeah.
That's a part of the process that I really enjoy. Again, I like to take something and tweak it. I like to perfect things. I don't, so starting from nothing, thin air is a nightmare for me. It's like a plane crash. But
but the thing,
give me something.
The thing that you said when we were practicing, and Have You Ever? There's a moment at the end where it kind of you just start going nuts singing.
Yeah.
Now, first of all, I had to translate this very like Hall & Oates 80s rhythm that needs to be a drum machine and a keyboard into a guitar, which it loses a little bit of its Hall & Oates-ness.
Yeah.
When you translate it to guitar. But you made the point when you were trying to memorize that last part, and we kind of changed the lyrics a little bit from what happened in the video,
right.
That you were like, this is a melody that I never would have come up with naturally, and so it's difficult to lock into my brain.
Right.
We had the same experience when Ben Bram, we partnered with him to write he
produced Pentatonics.
Yeah, he's a Pentatonics producer.
Won a Grammy.
Who helped, we basically wrote the lyrics for
Barbershop Quartet.
If I Had Another
Me.
Had Another
You?
Buddy System Season 1 song. And then he turned it into a 4-part Barbershop Quartet song.
He gave us the individual tracks to learn, like they call them the stems, and it was very challenging.
It was so difficult for us to sing because when you sit down to write a melody, you are referencing a cacophony of all the music that you have listened to and kind of sung along to, that you've connected with and kind of your brain is melded to. And for us, if you reach into this jukebox of our past there's gonna be this mix of things, and one of those things is gonna be a lot of country music, right?
Oh yeah.
So not just Merle Haggard, not just old country, but the Brooks and Dunn at the time that Brooks and Dunn was popular, and Diamond Rio, and Clint Black, Garth Brooks. There's a lot of that.
There's a lot of country. It's not all country.
It's not all
though.
country. That's one element of it, right?
Yeah.
But then you've got like R&B,
Yeah.
soul, even some like getting back into for me, and I assume you as well, like Elvis and Chuck Berry and that kind of thing. But these songs are all, for me especially, a lot of it is kind of coming from this like Southern rock, Leonard Skinner, Allman Brothers, country, R&B, but like a lot of Southern music. You know what I mean? And if you just listen to like the melodies and the way that they kind of come out when I just naturally start singing something, they can kind of be tied back to all those genres that influence. And that's one of the things that excites me about the piano is that it throws you into a different place that just doesn't come for somebody who's limited in what they can do on a guitar like I am.
Yeah.
But it leads to situations where if you're collaborating with somebody and they come up with a weird melody, it's very difficult. Like going from that note to that note, my brain has never made that connection before.
I would consider music my main hobby. I think that the main things I like to watch are music documentaries. I've started just the habit of just laying in bed and listening to music. And then I started not just listening to music on headphones while my wife is already asleep or something. She usually goes to sleep for me. I'll just lay there listening, just analyze. I just love to analyze. But then starting to watch music videos. Like I got on this Chicago kick. I was telling you about this where I was like,
Well, you were telling everybody about it.
yeah, I couldn't
There
stop
were
talking
there
about
were
it.
like three dinners that we went to. I don't know when this is coming out, so I'm not gonna. We recently took a trip for to shoot some GMM in another place. I don't know when this episode's coming out in reference to when those are coming out, so I'm not gonna give away what it was.
You mean Memphis?
Can we talk about that?
I don't know. Who
Yeah.
cares? We went to Memphis.
And
Went to St. Jude. We're talking about it.
it was awesome. There's gonna be videos about it.
I can't keep this stuff straight anymore. I went back to I couldn't wait to go back to my hotel room and just listen to music by myself and have my own quiet
But
space.
then
And I started watching Chicago, the
but on
band.
the next meal, what I'm getting at is like the breakfast after the night. Like we would get together in the morning, we're getting ready to like shoot the next video, and we're all kind of like in the hotel lobby eating something. And you would start talking about what you experienced in the documentary, and I would kind of look around and I was like, who in this group is actually listening to Link right now? And my impression was no one.
Did you know that Chicago, the band, the first lead singer, he passed away in a tragic situation that I don't want to go into. But then the second lead singer was Peter Cetera, this amazing vocalist. And then I'm watching this weird videos on YouTube where he's leaving the band and it's really weird and the songs are amazing. You're my inspiration. And they brought in a third lead singer and they Chicago revitalized their band across three amazing vocalists. That's just not something that anybody can do. Until the next night when I discover Genesis did it. Let me watch the VH1 behind the music on Genesis until I fall
Are these just
asleep.
uploaded to YouTube?
Yeah, like they're ripped on YouTube, 4:3 ratio. I guess the point I'm making is that, I love music. I love how it moves you. When you talk about melodies, I'm so obsessed with hip hop because it seems to me to be changing so much quicker than how I've experienced any other music changing. And it's a puzzle to figure it out and to appreciate it and not just write it off. And then once you hear someone who's amazing at it, like, okay, you can reduce what Migos does to, again, I don't wanna go off on all these tangents.
We should do this in another podcast.
And you study the rhythms, it's like, okay, it blows my mind. I mean, if I listen to Post Malone, not just because I've met him and he says he likes us and he seems super cool and that makes me super cool if I listen to him. I came to a conclusion one night, just in my cans. The dude is a melodic genius, and I'm not saying that because he thinks that our show is entertaining.
But that helps.
There's a certain moment where you can just listen to music and you're like, whoa, I get it. And I understand how difficult it is to invent what he did. And but hip hop is a place
where it's super distinct too, as is demonstrated by the episode that we had him on GMM. Where I did right. Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Mary had a little lamb, its fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go.
In his style, you start realizing that, you know what? He invented something. Like it's completely.
Everything comes from something.
It's derivative, and I understand everything is derivative, right?
But that's what's intriguing. I mean,
he pushed it into a place that's original.
To bring it back to what really matters, us.
Yeah.
I get a lot of joy out of that. I mean, it gets very frustrating. I know it, and many times when it's like we're trying to. Hey, why isn't this song written? It's over. We've got it. It's like because. It's like painting, man. I'm not gonna tell you how.
Well,
it's fun. I'm just really glad. I think the answer to the question for me is what did touring do for us? Is it reconnected us with our passion for music, our connection to music, and how that's a part of what we create. It's just such a different way to create.
And I'm specifically.
And then the live performance.
Yeah, I'm
of
specifically excited about. I mean, even the songs that we wrote that those of you who came to the NC State Fair show heard, the songs that were written with a live audience in mind and the songs that will be written with a live audience in mind. It's just, not saying that they won't then one day be turned into a music video, but it always works.
I believe they will.
It always works that way. So if you write something that is funny with just sound, you better believe that adding a visual is only gonna make it funnier. It doesn't always work the other way though. If you start with and you have the video handicap in right from the beginning, and then you try to perform that song live, if people don't have the visual reference, they may not get it. So I'm super excited about that because I think it's the comedy quotient of those songs is that much higher, but it's also just, we're kind of discovering that we didn't think it was gonna be a part of our, greater strategy, but I think that playing music live for people, at least in moderation, not crazy world tours where we're gone for months at a time, but short stints in places is a part of what we're gonna do creatively.
In the next phase of our creative endeavor. We've come back around to it. So I think that's it. That's the answer to the question. That's the huge takeaway is as we think about 2019, that's an aspect. And some opportunities start to come out of the woodwork, It's like some really cool stuff that we got an email 2 days ago that was like, it was to play at a particular venue that's like, oh, that would be exciting.
Yeah, well, and the interesting thing is that that was very vague, by the way. I love the vagueness of that. Yeah, they've got a certain venue that would be very exciting to play at.
I can't say that. I can't say that.
But I am very excited about it.
Because if it doesn't happen, I don't want anyone besides me to be disappointed.
An interesting thing that I could not have told you, because you go back 10 years, we've been doing YouTube 12 years, but you go back 10 years and that was when we were already like in the throes of full-time YouTube, 2008. We started our business, we were doing this thing full-time. We were doing a bunch of music videos, that was our bread and butter. And at the time, Flight of the Conchords was kind of in their heyday, like, their special had come out. I don't remember the exact years that the 2 seasons on the HBO, but it's right around that same time, right? It's been like 10 years.
Yeah, I think it was 2006 though.
And so in terms of like musical comedic acts, you know, you had Tenacious D, you had Flight of the Conchords, you had Lonely Island, of course Weird Al. I'm sure there's others that were missing. But the interesting thing is that 10 years later, I would have told you that there were a bunch of musical comedy duos out there or trios that are playing music and doing what we thought we were gonna do back in the day, and then kind of YouTube sort of changed our plans. But you know, here we are in 2018 and Flight of the Conchords has a new special. Tenacious D just released the new album and the
YouTube series.
The YouTube series that's got Jack drew all that. I watched the first episode the other night. It was hilarious.
Oh, it is?
And the animation is so crazy because he just drew these it's actually genius the way that he did it. It's like it's not animated. It's like a storyboard. It's like watching a storyboard, but it totally works.
I mean, when he was here and
he told us a little bit
about it, he was like he was like apologetic.
No,
like
but
comedically apologetic.
I love the approach. But I say that to say that, you know, a decade has passed. All this incredible entertainment has been created, but really when you ask people to name musical comedy acts, it's kind of the same people. We kind of got lucky that I'm super excited.
I just don't consider, I honestly don't consider us in that group.
No, I don't consider us in that group at all. Which my point is our aspiration, ever since we saw Flight of the Conchords in the HBO special, we were on the road doing like a college tour and in like 06, or maybe even before that, maybe 04, and we saw that special on HBO in the hotel room, and we both got mad because they were so much funnier than us. Like just so much funnier, right? And I still think that they're a lot funnier than us. And I aspire to be that funny. But what I'm getting at is that I am at the age of 41 getting ready to learn how to play the piano so we can perform a song in London. 2 songs. You can hit the high keys. I am super excited about what this next phase can bring. And hopefully we will be mentioned in the same breath with those guys at some point, right? My point is that they got old too, and they're still doing it.
Yeah.
Nobody came along to replace them. Now we're old too, but we got a lot more music to play, man. A lot more music to play.
We got a lot more music to play, y'all.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I'm so grateful that that we decided to do the NC State Fair show, and then it led to, hey, let's do more of this, and that it's a sense of momentum, you know, and it's not at the expense of anything else, Good Mythical Morning or the other things that we're writing.
Yeah, we found a way to,
because there are other things that we are writing.
Lots of things that we're working on that we can't tell you about yet, but music is one of them. And those of you who've been asking, is there gonna be more of this? Yes, there is gonna be more. And hopefully at some point, we're gonna be coming to a place near you.
Can we end this with You're the Inspiration by Chicago? We can't, can we?
I think that's illegal.
We can't. You know what you need to do right now, right after this is over, you need to play Chicago.
Well, bring it up in a different tab right now.
You're the Inspiration. And just play
you
that.
Can play it right now.
Play that for yourself. You hate that, Feldman? You hate You're the... Listen,
you hate
man,
that song?
You gotta approach it with an open heart, man.
You're the meaning
the
in
vocal
my life.
treatment. Is that what I gotta do? And then go over and listen to some Band of Horses. And you tell me, you don't like them either? You don't like them either. Well, that's your problem.
You don't like Fleet Foxes?
You listen to some Band of Horses and see how that vocal treatment is like a Chicago ripoff. Yeah, that's why you hate both of them. I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to... Oh, well, all of a sudden you're responding as if I'm talking to you. I know I'm looking at you. So anyway, you're the inspiration. Music is the inspiration. I think that song was written to music. If you listen to the lyrics, you can tell it's not, but let's just say it is.
That song was written to music?
I mean,
There's a good chance of that.
do you know that there's that Average White Band
I
song?
don't know what you mean.
Well, I'll illustrate. There's that Average White Band song.
Pick up the pieces.
No, not the one without lyrics, you dummy. Listen,
It has a few lyrics.
he wrote a song.
Pick up the
He wrote
pieces.
at least one song, maybe multiple songs to music. Whoever wrote the song was like, loved music so much that he wrote a song to it. Music, sweet music,
Oh,
You're
a song written to
the
music. Yeah.
queen of my soul. Music, you're the queen of my soul.
Wow, that's powerful.
And so, all right, so now we're developing a playlist now. So that's You're the Inspiration.
Inspirational songs?
Leads to Band of Horses with that same vocal treatment.
Ooh, a playlist that starts and then goes through influences.
That'd be hard to do. No, we're just gonna
No, you
skip
can do
to
it. I bet you
Average
can do
White
it.
Band. You're the queen of my soul.
That is an interesting playlist though. You would go back to like, you know,
Are we still recording?
like a
We'll talk at you next
like a
week.
fiddler in the Middle Ages.
Thanks for hanging out with us and for indulging in us just analyzing our own creative.
Yeah, that was very self-indulgent.
I know.
That won't happen all the time. Sometimes you just need to talk about yourself. To hear this ear biscuit in its entirety and make sure you don't miss an episode, follow the links in the description to subscribe on Apple Podcasts or anywhere else podcasts are available.
To watch more Ear Biscuits, click on the playlist on the right.
To watch more of our daily show, Good Mythical Morning, click the playlist on the left.
And don't forget to click the circular icon to subscribe.
Thanks for being your mythical best.